the more success I'm going to have. So for example, like I just don't think that people are understanding space in a way where it's like it is your like reaction time. So if you get closer to, like, if you're standing over there and I'm standing here, it's not scary if you throw a punch at me because I have plenty of time to react to that punch. Where if me and you are standing right next to each other, that's like super scary no matter who you are, you know? So space is reaction time, and I really don't think that a lot of people see space like that. They see space like, oh yeah, like you're at the end of my jab, that's when I can hit you. Everything is about like, can I hit you, this and that. Where like the defensive piece of striking isn't really harped on as much because again, it's like not as digestible. And then there's of course like position, like my position and then your position, my position according to your position. So like lefty, righty, righty, lefty, 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 righty, righty. And all of that is important because if you're in a different stance than I am, the targets change. Like what you throw is different than like the attacks that you'll have are very different than the ones that we would have if we were in the same stance, if we're in the opposite stance. I don't think that people necessarily pick up on those things too. I don't think people super understand position as like my guard, like where am I open if I stand like this and where am I open if I stand like this. The advantages like being a little bit outside your shoulders on each side so that I can take angles a little bit easier. If I'm standing over here, I know you're gonna correct yourself here, so I'm gonna step here. You're gonna correct, I'm gonna step here, and then eventually I'll be able to build off of attacks. But that to me is what striking is. Striking isn't, it's a positional battle, and it's a battle for space. And it's not like combinations, and it's not set things.
Not set things, yeah. So what your style is very stance switch dependent. You mean you do that as good as anybody alive, and it's such a valuable asset. And it's more fighters are embracing that now than ever before, but there's something about that. If you're accustomed, like if you're accustomed to standing southpaw or you're accustomed to standing orthodox, and you're accustomed to facing fighters that are southpaw or orthodox, you get like used to attacks coming from different places. But when you're doing it, you're mixing shit up so much that you can see this overwhelming thing that's happening to the opponent. You could see like one of the things Cheeto said, he couldn't get started. But the reason why he couldn't get started, in my opinion, he's a great fighter, but it was you. It's because you were constantly feeding him with reads and information, and it was never ending. So there was no break where he gets to find his openings, no break where he gets to initiate. It was just overwhelming.
Yeah, super overwhelming. That's what that can do. Because like I said, you read it with your eyes. So if I'm switching my stance all the time, the target is changing all the time. Like if you're in a righty stance and I'm in a righty stance also, the targets are different. Like your right kick is gonna land on my the outside of my leg. If I switch lefty, it's gonna kick to the inside of my leg. I know that you know this, but if I'm constantly switching those targets all the time, it makes for a hell of a time for you, you know? And I started switching really, really early. I used to really like watching Nonito Donaire, the boxer. Like,
Yeah.
And he kind of switches a lot. Like a lot of his steps are switches. I used to love watching Nonito Donaire. I thought it was super creative. And like switching stances now at this point, I think in martial arts is almost like a non-negotiable. Like
Right.
you have to be able to do it. But it just changes the target. It changes my weapons like so much where like, if you can't keep up, it's just gonna like fry your brain. And I felt that with Cheeto, you know, I felt like anytime he started to understand my movements, I would just change or I would start level changing or I would start doing something different so that he couldn't get an opportunity to be like, that's what I need to do. Because then I would just change it and then he'd have to figure out something else.
All right.